RHOP. Was Candiace right for calling Gizelle a monster? Was Candiace Dillard Bassett right to call Gizelle Bryant a monster on The Real Housewives of Potomac? In earlier seasons, Gizelle was not the nicest person, but she has mellowed out recently and started to become a fan favorite. The ladies of the Potomac have only been back for 4 episodes, but fans are already hooked on the drama. Word on the street is Gizelle is looking to mend fences with Candiace Dillard Bassett. At the same time, Ashley Darby has spouted off some heated words to her fellow housewives. There is also some trouble in paradise with Karen Huber's marriage and Monique Samuel's relationships with old friends. Fans are well aware that Candiace is not great at communicating her feelings to her co-stars' faces. She got into some hot water with Gizelle at Karen's house party. Robin Dixon told Gizelle that Candiace told the new girl she was mean and nasty. Gizelle did not take kindly to these words and made it known over her champagne. Candiace is still on her apology tour and moved quickly on to Gizelle thinking she was on good terms with her. Fans will recall that the newlywed called Gizelle's new home a cabin and insulted her numerous times. Before Candiace could realize what she was apologizing for, Gizelle said, "Last I heard, I was the biggest monster under the sun." Candiace thought she was finished with the "I'm sorries," but Gizelle had more to say on the matter, explaining, "And apparently you told Wendy that I'm a mean monster. So she's looking at me like, oh, I'm waiting for the mean monster to show up. And that is wrong. And it's rude, and it's immature." Candiace never seems to remember that her words always come back to haunt her. Many fans believe that Candiace is trying to build an army of loyal supporters, and felt the new housewife, Wendy Osifo, would be the perfect recruit. Candiace has a way of saying exactly what she wants with no fear of repercussions. On the franchise, she has also been seen fighting below the belt and dirty, using her words to cut people down. She already has 2 housewives who are wary of her and her actions, and soon will have the fallout with Monique to deal with. Fans are not sure she will make it through the season unscathed. The Real Housewives of Potomac has long been a battleground for shade, shifting alliances, and iconic reads. But in the latest season, the tension between Candiace Dillard Bassett and Gizelle Bryant has reached a fever pitch, culminating in Candiace labeling Gizelle a monster. It was a moment that had Bravo fans clutching their pearls, running to Twitter and debating in group chats. But the question remains, was Candiace justified, or did she go too far? The history of Candiace and Gizelle's feud. To fully unpack the gravity of Candiace's words, we have to rewind to the foundation of their fractured relationship. In earlier seasons, Gizelle and Candiace had a cordial, if not friendly, dynamic. Gizelle, ever the self-appointed green-eyed bandit of mess, initially took a somewhat big sister approach to Candiace, often shading her but not with full malice. That all changed once Candiace firmly planted herself in the show as a vocal and unapologetic force, unwilling to be controlled by Gizelle's subtle, and sometimes not so subtle manipulation. The real dagger to their relationship, however, came when Gizelle implied that Candiace's husband, Chris Bassett, was inappropriate with her. While Gizelle claimed that she felt uncomfortable with Chris in a private setting, she never outright accused him of anything nefarious. However, Candiace saw it as a smear campaign, an intentional, calculated move to assassinate Chris's character and damage their marriage. For Candiace, Gizelle's allegations weren't just a betrayal. They were the actions of someone willing to destroy families for a storyline. That was the moment Gizelle went from being a frenemy to a full-fledged villain in Candiace's eyes. Is Gizelle a monster or just a master manipulator? Gizelle Bryant has a long history of stirring the pot. From her repeated takedowns of Karen Huber's finances to her unrelenting criticism of Wendy Osfo's body choices, she has never shied away from being the instigator. Some fans argue that she plays her role well. Every Housewives franchise needs a mess starter, and Gizelle wears that crown proudly. However, there's a fine line between being a troublemaker and being outright harmful. While Gizelle's usual antics, spreading gossip, throwing light shade, and acting holier-than-thou, can be chalked up to reality TV strategy, the Chris Bassett situation felt different. Candiace wasn't just dealing with shade. She felt she was dealing with an attempt to ruin her husband's reputation on a national platform. And let's not forget Gizelle's track record. She conveniently stirs drama when it benefits her, but never allows her personal life to be scrutinized too deeply. When Karen Huger brought up the alleged infidelity of Gizelle's ex-husband, Jamal Bryant, Gizelle dodged accountability like a seasoned politician. Her relationship issues are off-limits, but she has no problem picking apart everyone else's marriages. That hypocrisy is part of what fuels the monster label in Candiace's mind. The case against Candiace's words. While Gizelle has certainly done some questionable things, is calling her a monster fair. That's where fans are divided. Some argue that Candiace has a history of going too far with her words. Her reads are legendary, but they can also be ruthless. Who can forget the infamous Yo Mama clapback that left Mia Thornton in tears? Or the time she referred to Ashley Darby as a wide-bodied heifer after Ashley had just given birth. Candiace has never been one to hold back, and while her sharp tongue is part of her charm, it also alienates her from viewers who feel she crosses the line into personal attacks. Calling someone a monster isn't just throwing shade. It's a deeply loaded term that implies someone is devoid of humanity. Even if Gizelle did hurt Candiace, does she deserve to be called something so extreme? Some fans argue that if the roles were reversed and Gizelle had called Candiace a monster, there would be widespread outrage. This leads to the bigger question: should housewives be able to say anything in the heat of an argument, or should there be limits? The fan reaction: Team Candiace versus Team Gizelle. As expected, social media exploded after Candiace's comment. The #RHOP hashtag was flooded with fans passionately defending both women. Team Candiace. Gizelle literally made up a lie about Chris. Candiace was right to call her a monster. Gizelle ruins relationships and families for a storyline. She doesn't care about anyone but herself. Let's not forget how Gizelle has treated Wendy, Karen, and Monique in the past. This is her MO. Team Gizelle. Candiace always takes things too far. There's a way to read someone without being cruel. If Gizelle is a monster for shading people, what does that make Candiace with the way she talks to people? It's just reality TV. Candiace needs to stop acting like this is life or death. So was Candiace right? The answer ultimately depends on how you view Gizelle's actions. If you believe Gizelle crossed the line by insinuating something damaging about Chris Bassett, then Candiace's response feels warranted. But if you see Gizelle as a reality TV puppet master who simply plays the game, then Candiace's words might feel like an overreaction. There's no denying that Gizelle can be manipulative, but monster is a strong word. Maybe Candiace would have been better off calling her an opportunist, a master manipulator, or in true Housewives fashion, a green-eyed bandit with no soul. But Candiace is Candiace. She doesn't do subtlety. At the end of the day, this feud will continue to fuel RHOP for seasons to come. Whether you're Team Candiace or Team Gizelle, one thing is certain: the shade isn't stopping anytime soon. And as long as these two are in the same room, The drama will keep Bravo fans glued to their screens, ready for the next explosive moment.